Emotions make kids cry sometimes. If you know what that tune is, go ahead on and drop me a line. Um, anyway, today's topic: emotions make kids cry sometimes. Before I get started, though, let me just say, man, this is a Fourth of July weekend. It has been one crazy week, extremely busy. This is not necessarily how I intended to do the video, but this is my home. And I'm never more comfortable than when I'm in my own home in my pajamas, right? So y'all to come on in, man. I'm gonna invite you. I'm gonna invite you into my house. So welcome. Anyway, today's topic: emotions make kids cry sometimes. Last week, my daughter was watching a cartoon. She was watching Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, and in this particular episode, Daniel the Tiger, he was upset about something he wanted to do, and his mother told him he couldn't do it. So he was upset, he was angry, and his mother was like, well, son, you can stomp 3 times and start to feel better. Wow, if only it was really just that easy. I started thinking, I was like, well, do I really want my daughter to listen to this and hear this episode? Do I want her stomping, in the store when she's upset or whatnot? And I started to think about it, and my answer was, yeah. And I'll tell you why. And me, just being the person that I am, I also started to think about, well, what would keep a parent from allowing their child to do this? You know what I mean? Why would a child have a problem, or a parent have a problem with the child doing this? And so I'm going to share with you. Let's talk about emotions. Now, I want you to do me a favor, okay? I want you to go ahead on and I want you to think about all of the emotions, all the different emotions that you experience in the course of a day. All right. Now, I want you to think about all the different sets of emotions that you experience in the course of a week. Now, got a list? Think about the fact that whatever list you came up with, your child experiences most of those same emotions that you experience. Right? Now, the difference is as us being adults and parents, we should be able to handle and cope with these emotions better. But they still experience them, and so do we. So the whole reason why I think that episode of Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood was such a good one is because his mom was trying to help give him strategies on how to cope with his emotion, which was anger, instead of disciplining the emotion out of him. As a parent, I'm guilty of it myself. I have reacted to an emotion that my child has had with discipline, right? I've done it. You may have done it. I know my parents did it. And it's easy to do, right? Because when I think about what would keep a parent from allowing a child to stomp 3 times in public and feel better is embarrassment, First thing my parents say, boy, you're not finna embarrass me in this store. You better get yourself together, right? And I found myself, I kind of have that same thing going on. It's like, dude, you really think you finna embarrass me in here? You better get it together. But the problem with that is you can't discipline emotion because you're going to experience it. I experience it, you experience it. We all experience the same emotions. You can't discipline them. You have to learn how to deal with them. And let me give you an example. Let's say your child, you take your child to the store, they see a toy that they really, really want. And mom, can I have it? Can I have it, Dad? Can I have it? Please, please, please. And you're like, no, you can't have it. Get in the car. Be quiet. It's a wrap. Now, that was really, really short, blunt, to the point, a little insensitive maybe even. I mean, the kid really wants this thing, and you just like shut it down, right? But again, that's what we do a lot of times, right? But then flip it. Let's take you, Dad, Mom. Maybe Dad, maybe you're at Best Buy, Mom. Maybe, you're at whatever store it is that you want to be at where you're going to see something that you really want. So you might go in the store and not have the intention of buying anything, but you see something and you're like, man, I got to have it. You and your child at this point are experiencing the exact same feelings and the exact same emotions. Now, as adults, we should be able to handle that emotion and say, you know what, it's not in the budget this month. I didn't plan for this. I'm going to move on. I'm not going to get it. That takes a certain level of maturity. a level of maturity that you want your kid to have. But oftentimes we don't have it ourselves. Because what do? We'll go ahead on and say, shoot, it's not in the budget, but I got this credit card, or or the store is offering me a credit card, and I'm gonna go ahead on, I'm just gonna get this credit card, I'm gonna buy this TV. I'm just gonna get this TV, the big game coming on, wanna invite the boys over, I need a TV. And so we have just literally, we've kind of mimicked the same behavior that we're trying to get our kids not to do. Our kids might respond by having a temper tantrum or yelling or screaming or, whatever, when you tell them no, they can't have that toy, right? But think about it. You can't even tell yourself no. You know what I'm saying? And so it's the same thing. So we have to learn how to deal with the emotion, help give coping mechanisms for the emotion, and not try to discipline the emotion out of the child, because we'll be unsuccessful. I want to give a few tips on how we can help our children learn how to deal with and handle their emotions so that they can turn into the kind of adults that we want them to be. So tip number 1. First, I would say understand the emotion. I don't know any other way to say it. When your child is misbehaving for whatever reason, replay in your mind real quick. Okay, what just happened? Was he at the park having the time of his life with his friends, and then I just came over and was like, get your butt up and let's go, right? Okay, if that's the case, what emotion is he feeling? What emotion would you be feeling, right? That goes to point number 2. Empathize with the emotion. You know what I mean? Think about how you would feel if it were you. If the shoe was switched, how would you feel? Empathize with the emotion. Tip number 3. Give your child a strategy to cope with what they're feeling. That's probably one of the biggest tips, or one of the biggest ones I can say. If your child, which is again why I like the Daniel Tiger episode, if your child is feeling angry, you can't tell him he can't be angry. You can't tell her she can't be angry, because again, we can't. You can't tell your emotions what to do. But what you can do is say, hey, I know you're angry. I know you're upset. That's fine. You can be upset. You can be angry. But let me tell you how you can handle it, right? Because you yelling in the store and screaming and kicking in the store is not really the appropriate way to handle it. But what you can do is X, Y, Z. You know what I mean? So give your kids tips and strategies on how they can handle what they're feeling. Tip number 4. This is a big one too. Ignore the naysayers. Now, when you parent like this, everybody and their mama gonna have something to say. Everybody, right? You gotta know that what you're doing is the right thing for your kid. You know what I mean? You have to ignore the naysayers and just keep doing what you know you need to do. Tip number 5. Remain patient. This is not a quick, easy fix. This takes patience. You need to be patient with your child or your children, and you also need to be patient with yourself, because again, look, I'm going to admit I struggle with this. You know what I'm saying? I know the tips, I know what to do, I know how it's supposed to be, but again, if my child starts acting crazy in public, you know what I mean, it's a natural thing for me to snatch them up. Boy, you better get it together. I don't know what's wrong with you, but you better get it together, right? But remain patient, because sometimes you might react in a way that you are trying not to react. Maybe you're trying to do a little bit better, and you keep falling back into old habits. So be patient with yourself as well, and of course be patient with your child, because they're a child. You know what I mean? They're learning. Tip number 6, be consistent. Now this is big, because consistency is the key to anything, right? If you really want to see change, you're gonna have to do this constantly, right? You're gonna have to make sure that you're constantly doing this, and so be consistent. And my final tip is stay encouraged. This is not an easy process. You can hear, or you might hear, all different sorts of things about what it is that you're doing, but be encouraged. Know that over time, you are raising your child to be a very amazing individual. A person that can handle and check their emotions that's a person that's leaps and bounds above their peers. Because again, and think about the adults that you know. and how many of them cannot really manage their emotions, right? So think about how you want your child to be. If you raise someone that can handle their emotions and can really handle that piece, you've done an amazing job. Thank you for watching another video on Ask Daddy. If you found anything in this video useful, go ahead on and hit the like button. If you think that there's something in this video that someone else can benefit from, make sure you share the video. Don't be stingy. Also, go ahead on and stop by my website at www.askadaddy.com. Come on by, be a part of the community. I have a Facebook group. And on the Facebook group, we're having some pretty amazing discussions. So, again, stop by the website. You'll see how to get onto the Facebook group. You'll see what kind of stuff we have going on the website. And, yeah, man, just keep doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? Being a parent is awesome. And you're doing an amazing job. Again, the fact that you are watching these videos tells me that, you care about the job that you're doing. So you're doing an amazing job. And being a parent is awesome, but being a daddy is awesome.